You can vibe code a working app in an afternoon. Making it safe, secure, and maintainable enough to actually ship is where most non-engineers get stuck. Vaisagh is the CEO of Impress, and he's built a Claude skill based on years of shipping real AI applications. He runs it live on a prototype his team built in 20 minutes after a client meeting. It catches a leaked API, secret sitting in the browser, and all the logic exposed to anyone who opens the page. And then he shows us exactly how to fix it. So Vaishak, like a lot of people this year, I've also been vibe coding and trying to build like simple tools, website, that kind of thing. It's okay building like maybe a static website, but if you want to build something substantial in terms of an app uh, with complex logics or things like that, then you quickly realize that okay, it's easy to get to like a visual prototype, but then taking that into something that's really working and that can be like something of a production grade, that's really hard. And that's very frustrating if you're not a software engineer, and you are. So would love to learn from you, like how someone can get from, let's say, a prototype um, to something production grade, because I think you have done it um, internally for a bunch of things that you've done at Impress.
Yep. So we've been trying to grapple with that as well, right? So I want more of my team also to use this, like what you're saying about pipe coding and building an app. I want more of my team to start doing this. But uh, I had the same problem that when they're sharing it, I mean, in your case, you had the sense to at least ask, okay, is this production ready in that? In the case of some of my team, they also don't know where to ask that question as well. So uh, what we did is what I'll show today is this Claude skill that we've created that helps to, um, like once you have an app that's built, it helps to just do a check on it to make sure, okay, is it ready for prime time, and gives directions on uh, how to get it there as well. So it's built out of the back and forth I had with the engineer. So earlier it was me asking these questions and going back and forth. It took obviously a while longer. So now we have a skill that does that, and that's what I'll be showing today.
And when we say production ready, in my head at least, security in terms of quality, quality in the sense like it works, security, safety, these are the things that I have in mind when I say production ready. Is there anything more to this?
I think maintainability is a key part that you didn't mention. I think safety, security are important parts, but another thing is maintainability. If you're talking about putting it out there for people to use it and you're hoping for it to hit it off and lots of people to use it, or even you to keep using it, maintainability is important from two angles. One is you yourself being able to come back to it and doing something with it. But the second part is assuming it scales, at some point you would want other engineers or architects or product people to look at that, and they need to be able to make sense of it. Sometimes what I've seen is when people have vibe coded themselves into this into an app that looks okay from the outside. Once you actually take a look at it as an engineer, you're like, okay, rather than looking at it, I'd rather create it myself from scratch than doing it. So you don't want to be in that position. You want to be in a position where you can get an expert in. So you have a lot of these fractional leaders and all of that today. You want a position where they can come and sit with you for like a bit of time and get that to the state you want. So I think maintainability is a key part beyond the security and safety parts of it.
That makes sense. But see, as somebody who's not an engineer, right? See, what do I not see when I look at code? Like I wipe code an app, it works, everything seems fine. What am I not seeing? Like, what do I not know?
I think the main part that an engineer or QA or product person who's looked at it is the thing with the layperson is you look at the happy scenarios. Typically, you know the things that are working, you have an idea of how it should work, and you test those scenarios within it. But where things break is, and I'm sure you've seen these memes of like engineers and QA that goes out there, like engineers design this thing in a brilliant way, then the QA comes there, and the first touch of it, the entire thing collapses in that. And that's the thing with users, that whatever way you make that application out there, the moment you put it out there, they will use it in exactly the way you did not think it would be used. And that's the thing that you miss when you just see like an application and try it out in different forms. You have no idea what went underneath it. Is there like even in this case, I'll share an example later. This was, we had a meeting and the team created this prototype of a tool, and it looked brilliant, but I had no clue what was going on under it. Just looking at the application, I didn't know what language was it built in. Was it HTML? Is it just pure AI magic? What is going on here? Until I could see that code, at which point, okay, I knew how it was created. I knew what risks it's posed, and I knew, okay, what place it was safe in. So as a layperson, the biggest gap is one, you don't see the code. And the other thing is, even when you see the code, you don't really know what to make of it or what trade-offs were made within that. And you can easily be led down a rabbit hole in different forms by AI when you keep trying to ask it to solve a particular issue.
Yeah, so that's the other question that I wanted to ask. You can just ask AI, right? Like, is it ready for production? And I mean, I know it doesn't work, but why is that not a good idea?
I think two things come from it. Like today's models, they let you burn a lot of tokens doing that. So even for this application, sure, we said just asked, is it production ready? It burnt about 200 250K tokens in each time we run it some form. And it also, like, what is production ready is depends a lot on context, depends a lot on business context and all this. And most of these AI systems make assumptions based on different things, and they go down that path. So one part is the tokens is cost. The other thing is it's actually not even giving you the right call in that. So even in our own deployment, one of the things that happened was I had asked the guy to deploy it on the cloud, one of my teammates to do that. And he got stuck in something where he tried to deploy it in Vercel, it didn't fully work. Now he was like, okay, let's make it work in some form. So now by the time I talked to him next, half the app was in Vercel, half the app was in Railway, half of it was in AWS. It was all it worked, but it was in three different places. And now every time he had to run something, it had to run that much more code to make it do anything in that. So you'll get an answer, you'll probably get to some element of stability, but it'll probably cost you a lot more. And also it may not last you the next year. The next day you ask it the same thing in a slightly different way, it may give you a completely different answer. So you want some structure around that production readiness question so that you get to the answer efficiently.
Yeah, so as a CTO and having a lot of experience in software engineering, you would have like a checklist, right? Like you mentioned just now, the app being in different places. Earlier, you mentioned about the tech stack. So, what are the other items in your checklist, at least in your head?
Yeah, so like when I started off, there was this thing called, and I think it's still popular, it's called the 12-factor app. So it basically defines 12 things you need for an application to be production ready and how it should be deployed. So when I started off as a founder and a CTO, this was my sort of target that I set. I want any dev to come in and be able to just push code and it deploys in on the cloud. This was a big task then to make a CI/CD process that did that. Today, I'm sure you can do it with just a prompt there in it. So, but getting back to your question, it's like what are the things that I look for? It's actually built from that, but it's a much more simplified thing. So things that I look for is familiar tech stacks because you want to be able to make use of what resources you have. The second is the backing resources, they call it, your database, your SC, anything where you're storing data that needs to be separated out. Code should be in GitHub, GitHub or Bitbucket. It could be other things, but basically it should be in a code repository where you can push and pull and Claude can do its analysis and all of that. I think the other key thing is you need to do a scan for like secrets being stored. So one thing that these vibe code apps make a mistake in is they put in the codes or APIs right there for people to see it or in a very easily leakable form. So you need to avoid that. Another thing that we also do is how you manage libraries. Because in doing most of these things, it's going to use some kind of libraries there. It's not going to write all the code. And these libraries can be badly managed. It's all over the place, or it can be managed in a specific way. You put it in a particular folder or in a particular structure. That's kind of important because if the application is going to live online and you're going to run it, you need to be able to update these libraries and check for vulnerabilities and a lot of other things. So as long as you follow some structure and how that is there, this comes in straight there. So I have about 7 to 10 items like this that I would consider the key building blocks. Yeah, I think that about covers it. Oh yeah, the other thing is just having some kind of schema or the database schema, how you design it. If you're, again, for me, the key thing is, okay, are you going to talk to an engineer or product person to look at it? And the first thing they'll probably ask for is, okay, what is the database structure here? So them looking at that, they'll get an idea, okay, this is what this is doing. So that's the last element.
Great. This is a lot. I'm trying to hold it in my head. What can really help is if you show me how I can make this work. Can you take us through it? I can't wait.
Yes, I tend to do that a bit. So let me get straight to. So I'll show two parts today. First, let me take a very simple application. So to set some context, right? This was basically we were talking. We had a meeting with a client. It was a great meeting. We dived in a lot of things, and basically during the call, we outlined an idea of what it is that they would like to see. And my co-founder Amrit, he makes use of I think it's Claude to take notes. I don't know, Claude or Gemini to take notes, and he had like brilliantly written notes. So the meeting finished at around I would say 9:50 to 9:55, and at 10:11 he had, okay, I made a prototype of what they're looking for in Claude. And he had a fully working prototype. We clicked on it and it started working and all of this. And my reaction was literally the astonished face because this guy doesn't code, but he actually got the entire thing working, and I couldn't find anything wrong in it. So and yeah, and his question was, okay, can we show this? Is it production ready? Can we show this to a client? Can we get it to that stage? So let me show you what it is. So this is what it looked like. It was a work redesign app, and it's now created in a way that, okay, it didn't have an API key, API token embedded. I can paste that in, and it starts talking. Now, the point is in the code itself, but the application now works, and we had it pushed in GitHub as well as the code repository. Now, let me just show how the audit check works. Okay, so I'll take the work redesign app. It calls the right skill.
So how does it know which skill to call? Have you already put that in the settings?
Yeah, I'd set it so it's called vibe check as a skill. So I've set it to trigger based on that. There is a command, but you can also, it's actually pretty good at searching this. So now it's going to run through the app. It's a light app, as you saw, and it's going to give me a summary of what I just said. So the 7 steps.
So if I want to get this up and running, I have to first add the skill and then say do vibe check for this particular app, right?
Yes. So I can share the skill later. So it's actually a single prompt skill in that. But you can see it basically did the main checks on the points that I said. And it showed the biggest risk that I would state as well, that it's actually calling it directly from the browser. There is no Swift, and all the logic is on the client side. So if someone wants to actually recreate this app, the moment I put it there, the HTML page has all the logic there in it. So it's going to leak from that. So typically I can just copy paste this into my my Claude, and it'll actually get to working on this. I can show a slightly more complex example because this one was a very simple one in that, but this is the advanced, this is the payoff.
This is the workflow. So I have to have the skill in place, add it to my Claude, and then I point it to the right repo, ask it to vibe check, and it's going to give me the parts where I might screw up if I take this to production and take it to a company. The demo might bomb because all of this happens. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. And then you can just basically copy paste all the issues and tell Claude to fix it.
Exactly. So let me show you that as well. Let me show you in terms of how this has worked with my team working on this, right? So let me just take another example. So this was basically, we have an asset management tool. So we are now a 45-person company, and we have a lot of laptops and devices and everything we have had to manage over the years. So one thing that's been a big problem for us is managing our assets in different, our laptops, or all these things. So what we used to have is this. We had an Excel sheet which was managed with a lot of pop-ups and all of these things. And as we started being able to vibe code, we asked him to do a bunch of things to improve this. And what my team did was he created code like this. So he created macro scripts and all this to run different things on this. So when he clicks a particular thing on the sheet, some magic happens. And literally it was magic happening. We didn't know what was going on, any of these things. So what we discussed was that, okay, today creating apps is easy enough. All of you have a Claude subscription, so why don't you create an app? And he created this. Now, this is our asset management tool now. So let me just log in to it. So here I have this. There's a login. It's access control. All those issues of Google Drive are gone. Once I log in, he has a list of all the assets that we have. Each time we have a purchase, he's created this thing where we can add in an invoice. It records it. It keeps a track of our subscriptions, keeps us updated on that, and there's a whole bunch of these things. So basically, there was a bucket list of features he wanted in an asset management tool that he was initially looking to buy as a SaaS. We asked him to go build it, and he built and deployed this entire thing online.
This is effectively a SaaS that you did not have to buy. So it's like cost savings plus it's customized to your needs. Got it.
Exactly. Yeah. Then anytime there is more customization, he just builds it right now with that. So the question again was, how do we get this ready? Is this tested? Can I put it out there? What are the risks that come with it? So I'll walk through this, but let me just go to the Claude workflow again and tell you what that shares, and I'll tell you how that comes up. I can rerun the check as well. Do you want me to rerun it, or I can just show you?
Yeah, let's see the results because I think we know the process of running it.
Yeah. So actually, let me show you like the historical one that I had. So yesterday I ran it before he had changed this, and I ran the actual prompt. I can show the prompt data, and it gave me this as the set of actions there to fix this, right? And then I literally just told him, okay, here are the changes, go make it. Now, what he did was he literally went to his Claude and did that. So I can tell you, I can show you what happened here. If you look at so this, I don't know if you are familiar with GitHub and all of this, but
Yeah.
These are all the commits that have been made in the last few days, I guess.
Exactly. So basically, the things that I told him to do, that is literally exactly this commit. And that's he basically gave Claude that copy pasted this to Claude code in its thinking mode, and it went ahead and made all the fixes that needed. So there's a secret key that was being leaked. He fixed that. Allowed host was a star value that should not be a star. It should be something that is there. These are all a bunch of niggly issues that needs to be fixed. It was one prompt, and he got the entire thing done, and it redeployed after that as well. And in today's run, it didn't show those items at all. It showed a few other more minor things that are there to be addressed. So today's run is here. Now we are good with the deployment. There is a certain thing. So in the middle, he accidentally backed up a database into this repository. Again, some of the risks of vibe coding. But the good part is it actually for those things, and he's actually now on mostly green ticks here with that. So this is there. We run that. One of the things I'm playing around with is the idea of having it as a routine. As well. So since he's pushing to the code daily, we could actually just run this as a routine just to give him this update. And, okay, these are things to run as well. For now, he doesn't push updates that regularly for it. So basically, we're using it as a skill that we run as needed.
Okay. In the passing, you mentioned about using Claude in thinking mode. So when you run the skill and you get these errors, it's ideal you put it in the thinking mode rather than.
So for running the skill itself, we don't need a thinking mode. It actually is able to run it
for the errors specifically.
Yeah, for fixing it, you might need thinking mode than that. So we've generally tried Sonnet 4.6 with thinking mode right now is what is needed. My feel on it is it depends on the number of errors and like how deep those errors are. But honestly, that requires a judgment call that I think engineers are able to do better than non-engineers. So I generally just try to run. You don't need Opus. You can do Sonnet and then do the medium thinking mode there.
Okay. And so, you have two problems. One is you don't know what is wrong. And the second thing is you would have maybe used way too many tokens. So, which is why I asked the question of this thinking mode, whether I've overbuilt stuff or whether I've used too many tokens to build stuff, right? Like, so how do you figure out these two things? Whether you've overbuilt or underbuilt?
So overbuilt by like in itself, the script doesn't do that. I think that's very hard to discern because it's determined by your use case and all this. That's where actually talking to an engineer helps. But I think Where this actually helps in preventing that is because you have a checklist of basic items. Once you have these things covered, move on with that. So having that checklist sort of gives you a baseline of what you need, and you don't lack that confidence, which tells you to stop, because that lack of confidence is what makes you keep over engineering it in that way.
Yeah.
As for the tokens, I think that's one of the reasons why I build the script and we use this in that way. We build the prompt because there are specific elements of the. Let me just share the prompt itself. So there are specific elements of the prompt that basically make it efficient while not going too deep into that. So it basically talks about a sanity check and a vibe coded app. Um, don't flag things that wouldn't bite us in production. It's basic sanity. Don't overcheck. There's also another element of fix first. So there is a severity ranking there as well. It does flag certain issues, but it also makes sure that, okay, this is something that is going to bite you in immediately, whereas something that might be an issue in a few months. So that's sort of the thing that an engineer normally does every single day in their job. They're trying to figure out when is this fire going to uh, come up. Like it will come up. It's just a question of is it a year down? Is it a day down? Is it an hour down of this going? So that's the other part that's built into this. And in general, that specific direction of what is needed, that helps control the burn in terms of tokens.
I have a doubt. See, I am a non-engineer, right? How non-engineer proof is this prompt? Can I reliably use it? And can I build an app with this prompt and then go demo it to a client? And am I safe?
I would think at least for engineers within Impress, it does. The reason I say within Impress is because the tech stack is optimized for our availability as well. So we talk about fast API, this thing, Vercel, etc. These are all tech stacks that's for us. So it is if my team is running through this, they give me the result of this. I'm comfortable with them putting it out there and then using it. So in that
does it
sense,
explain? Let's say, does it explain the security risks to me, or does it sound technical? And I'm like, okay, I don't understand this, but I'm gonna paste this again so that I get some result. What level does it go to? Does it explain and abstract out stuff to a non-engineer?
So there's where we rely on the Claude itself to do that, right? So the prompt does not have to do that, because the parts that you have doubt on, you can always ask Claude and get that clarity in it. So the prompt doesn't go into the part of explaining it in too much detail, because then it gets very noisy. But the parts that you have, the general recommendation that I have is, okay, try this and also ask it to explain how to do that there. So I don't think a non-engineer without Claude or without an equivalent thing would be able to do much with this. But if you have Claude Code and access to that, then for sure you can be in the right direction of what questions to ask.
Okay, I think I'm gonna go with that. Yeah.
And has this skill missed anything significant?
So far, it hasn't missed significant things. But what Gautam asked is sort of the part where I still want to dive deeper into, where there is still a chance of people going down some rabbit hole because of how Claude fixes that issue there. It always gives you a way out in that. So basically, you do the cycle that happens is the audit highlights something, the user goes, puts it into Claude and fixes in some way. They rerun the audit says, okay, you're all good. Then they try out the application. It doesn't work exactly as they wanted in some way. So then they go ahead and make another change, which breaks this thing. And they get stuck a bit in that.
Yeah, I've been there.
So it gets stuck a bit in that loop, where the way out of it is like what that error is, if we can get that continuity. Now, for my team, they have access to an engineer where they can ask this and that. Okay, we've gone through this loop and they're able to pinpoint, okay, this is the place that's this error. How do we fix that? So that part of it is a little hard, honestly, because which track Claude is going to take you down is depends a bit on your history and how you talk to it and all of those things there, right? So that's something I'm still constantly working on the prompt for and trying to improve it.
So Okay, when you're in a loop like that, and I've been in loops like that, you end up wasting days and then also a lot of tokens, and nothing moves. And as an idiot who don't understand code, I can't also figure out what's happening. Um,
Mm.
then you're saying that the the best thing to ask is an engineer.
I think it is, and that's why one of the things, like right in the beginning, when you asked me what are the different pieces in that, right? I do think that maintainability and being able to talk to an expert is key there. It's not AGI yet. It'll take a while to get there. So you do need access to people in that. And for me, in designing, in building AI software, the key part is how do you make the most efficient use of that interaction uh, that is there. And what the tool is doing, what it's doing is it's bringing you that data that, okay, if you're going to an engineer, you've done this, your code is structured in a way that the engineer looks at it, they'll be able to pinpoint what it is. So you don't have to worry about like, okay, I'm wasting so much time and get it. Hey, dude, I just need 15 minutes. Can you just take a look at this? They'll be able to look at this and tell you where that issue is because you've structured it in that way. So a lot of the AI products that I build the way I do, I always try to optimize for that because I don't think you can, okay, you sit on your own for 2-3 days without talking to anyone. I think you do have a problem. When you're stuck there, you should have the comfort that, okay, I can reach out to this and not be embarrassed that they'll ask, hey, why did you create it in this way? That question should not come is the goal that I have with this.
Okay, one last thing. It might be a stupid question. What exactly is maintainability?
Maintainability is the area that you're creating this. It's not a use and throw that you're doing for just one meeting or 1 hour or something like that. You actually want to keep using this. So one of the comments when I was sharing the asset tracker tool, what we were talking about is that, okay, now he has new ideas. He can just build this. We are not, we don't have to rely on the SaaS vendor for that. Now, what is happening is we are keeping on adding new things to this software. That's one part. We want to keep adding functionality, etc. The second thing is software that's built. People find new ways to hack and new vulnerabilities in different forms. So as your machine, your phone, your laptop, you need to keep updating it, right? Similarly, any software that you're building, every library in it, everything that you use, that also needs to be constantly updated for new things that's there. And you want to like one. People sometimes forget in the vibe coding world is you still want to keep maintaining this. You're not going to rebuild it entirely from scratch tomorrow when you have an issue. So maintainability is that it's not just secure today, it's not just fulfilling your needs today, but tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, this is still able to satisfy those needs, and you're still able to securely use it without any worries. That's what I call maintainability.
Makes sense. You mentioned about prompt histories earlier, right? So if all I have is all the prompt history, does it still hold up? Like, does it work?
No, it would. I mean, it wouldn't because of what I said earlier, right? Like as an engineer as well, just looking at an application, I can't figure out how it goes wrong. I need to be able to see the code as well. Maybe it could point to some things based on the prompt history. It could point to some high level of sex, but it cannot uh, do its work effectively if it did not have access to that code to run against.
So if I use this skill or this custom prompt, I can at least take my vibe coded stuff to a point where an engineer will be able to understand and not pissed at me for bringing uh, crap for him to review.
Yes, the other, I think you'll get to a point where you can get it running, and then the first time you run into an issue, you can actually go to that engineer and do that. So, like, I'm not saying okay, you need to still take it to an engineer to do that. You can, I think you can, I think you can go live today even without this, right? I mean, you can run there. So what happens is when you have that SOS, you'll get that help quite easily.
So I'm trying to imagine a scenario where a non-engineer like me is gonna get Claude to write the first version, right, and then I run this prompt for a couple of iterations. I take it to customers and it breaks. I'm just trying to put a cost. What do you say? Win-loss scenario. What's your comment on that? Like, do you think somebody should go out and do this? Like, I can imagine a lot of people watching this and like, you know what? I'm gonna wipe code this up, get Vaishagh's prompt to clean it up, and then let me just go to customers. What's your take on that?
Depends on what you're going to a customer. If you're talking about a prototype that you want to show them, by all means you can. Like if you're talking about a demo and all this, I'm fairly certain this will be there. The one thing it doesn't test is all the scenarios. That what I said earlier about the happy scenarios and all that, like the functionality part of it. As long as you have that covered, what this is testing is the engineering and those the deployment, that part of those things. So that I think you can be fairly confident to take this from there and do that. And then, yeah, I think this will cover your bases. Then I have no worries around that.
Yeah, I hope this gives a non-engineer a lot of confidence to go ahead and actually try this.
Yeah, Rahul, try it out on your thing. Tell me what it shows after that, and then we can talk.